I'm 89 now. They told me it would be safer. That was the word they used, safer, as if I were something fragile that needed to be moved out of reach of life. It was my daughter who said it first, quietly, almost like she was asking permission from the air instead of from me. My son didn't say much at all. He just nodded. He's always been like that, letting silence do the work. I remember sitting there at the kitchen table, the same table I bought 40 years ago, and noticing how their eyes moved around the room, not resting on anything for long, not on the walls, not on the floor, not on me. That's when I understood. They had already decided. I didn't argue, not then. I just nodded back the way people do when they don't have the strength to explain themselves anymore. I think they took that as agreement, but I wasn't agreeing. I was remembering. At this age, that's what you do most of the time. You sit in a chair or at a table and the present becomes thin. The past pushes forward, not all at once, but in small pieces. A sound, a smell. The way light falls across a floor you've seen 1,000 times. You start to see things differently. Not clearer, exactly, just more honestly. I wasn't always this quiet. In my 20s, I moved fast. I had a job at a manufacturing plant, long hours, steady pay. It felt important at the time, like I was building something that would last. I used to come home tired, with the smell of oil still on my clothes. I met my wife around then. She worked at a small grocery store. We didn't talk much at first, just small things, prices, the weather, the kind of conversations that don't leave a mark. But somehow we kept talking. We got married when I was 27. It wasn't a grand thing. A few people, a small room, some food that was gone too quickly. I remember thinking that life had settled into place, like I had done what I was supposed to do. That feeling stayed with me for a long time. We had 2 kids, a boy and a girl. I still remember holding them for the first time. Both times I thought the same thing. I'll have time to be better with them later. I didn't say that out loud. It wasn't a decision I made in words. It was just something I believed without questioning. There was always something else to take care of. Work got busier. Promotions came, small ones at first. More responsibility, more hours. I told myself it was for them, that everything I was doing, the late nights, the missed dinners, was part of being a good father. My wife never argued much. She would just look at me sometimes, like she wanted to say something but decided not to. I noticed it, but I didn't ask. There always seemed to be time for that conversation later. I missed things. School plays. I remember one in particular. My daughter was in it. She had a small part, just a few lines. I told her I'd be there. That day something came up at work. It didn't even feel like a choice. I stayed. When I got home, she was already asleep. My wife told me it went well. She said our daughter kept looking toward the door. I said I'd make it to the next one. I believed that too. It wasn't just the big things. It was smaller than that. Evenings where I stayed late for no real reason. Weekends where I said I was too tired. Conversations that started and then faded because I didn't have the patience to finish them. None of it felt like loss at the time. It just felt like life. Years passed that way, quietly. Not in a rush, but not slowly either. Just steady, like something moving forward without asking if it should. The kids grew up. I noticed it in strange ways. Clothes that didn't fit them anymore. Voices that changed. The way they stopped asking me to come to things. At some point, they stopped expecting it. That should have meant something to me then. It didn't. Not fully. I thought that once things settled down at work, I'd make up for it. Spend more time with them. Be more present. But work doesn't settle. It just shifts. And by the time I started to slow down, they were already living their own lives. My son moved to another city. My daughter got married. The house became quieter in a way I hadn't prepared for. My wife felt it more than I did. Or maybe she just showed it more. She would sit in the living room in the evenings, the television on but not really watched. I'd sit with her sometimes, but we didn't talk the way we used to. There were long stretches of silence that neither of us knew how to fill. I think we both assumed the other would say something. We had time, after all. That's what we kept thinking. Then she got sick. It wasn't sudden. It started with small things. Fatigue. A cough that didn't go away. We went to the doctor, then another. Tests, appointments, waiting rooms that all looked the same. The word came eventually. Cancer. Even then, I thought there would be time. Time for treatment. Time for recovery. Time to say the things we had been putting off. But time doesn't work that way. It narrowed. Days became structured around medication, around appointments, around watching her more closely than I ever had before. I tried to be there. I really did. I sat with her. I listened. I held her hand. But there were things I didn't say, not because I didn't feel them, because I didn't know how to say them anymore. We had spent so many years not speaking openly that when it mattered most, the words felt unfamiliar, like something I had forgotten how to use. One night she asked me a simple question. "Were you happy?" I remember that clearly. The way her voice sounded, not accusing, just curious. I didn't answer right away. I thought about all the years, all the work, all the things I had done because I believed they mattered. "I think so," I said. She nodded. That was all. I wanted to ask her the same question. I didn't. She passed a few months later. It was quiet, not dramatic. Just a moment where she was there, and then she wasn't. After that, the house felt different. Not just empty, something else, like it had lost its purpose. I moved through the rooms without really seeing them. That's when the past started to come back more clearly. Not as memories you can enjoy, but as things you can't change. I thought about the times I could have been home earlier, the conversations I could have had, the way my daughter looked at the door during that school play. Small things, but they added up. They always do. Years went by again, slower this time. The days had less structure. I didn't have work to fill them anymore. The silence became louder. My kids visited when they could. They have their own lives now, jobs, families, responsibilities. I don't blame them for that. I see the same patterns in them that I had in myself. The same belief that there will be time later. Maybe there will be. Maybe there won't. When they told me about assisted living, I understood where it was coming from. Concern. Practicality. They weren't trying to push me away, but it felt like that anyway. Not because of what they said, because of everything that had come before. All those years where we were near each other but not really together. This was just the next step. A cleaner version of distance. I went to see one of those places. My daughter arranged it. Bright hallways, clean rooms, people sitting in chairs looking at televisions that no one seemed to be watching. Everyone was being taken care of. That's what they kept saying. Taken care of. I walked through those rooms and realized something I hadn't allowed myself to see before. If I went there, this would be the end of my life as something I had chosen. Not in a dramatic way, just slowly, quietly. Days would pass and I wouldn't notice them. Conversations would be polite, short. People would come and go. And eventually, I would go too, without having changed anything. That's what stayed with me. Not fear, not anger. Just the understanding that I had already let too much of my life pass without really being present in it. I didn't want to finish that way. So I told them no. It surprised them. I could see it in their faces. They weren't used to me pushing back. I didn't argue. I didn't explain much. I just said I was staying. The truth is, staying here doesn't fix anything. It doesn't bring my wife back. It doesn't give me another chance with my children when they were young. It doesn't erase the years I spent thinking there would always be more time. But it gives me something small. It gives me the chance to sit in this house and see it for what it is. Not just a place I passed through, but a place where my life actually happened. I sit in the same kitchen now, sometimes for hours. I remember things more clearly. The way my wife used to stand by the sink, the sound of my kids running through the hallway, the feeling of coming home and thinking I'd deal with everything later. There is no later now. That's the part people don't say out loud. At some point, later disappears. If you're listening to me, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I don't think it works that way. I can only tell you what I didn't understand when I had the chance to. Time doesn't feel important when you have it. It feels endless, flexible, something you can rearrange. You think you can move things around, postpone conversations, miss a few moments and make them up somewhere down the line. You can't. Not really. The moments don't wait. They don't stay where you left them. They pass, and they take something with them. You don't notice it at first. Then one day you sit at a table and your children are talking about where you should go to be safer, and you realize they're right in a way you didn't expect. Not about the place, about the distance. That part happened a long time ago. I still see them, we still talk. But it's different. It's careful, measured. There are things we don't say, not because we're hiding them, but because we don't know how to begin. That's what's lost. Not just time, not just people. The ease of being close to someone without thinking about it. You don't get that back. I don't have much time left. I can feel that in ways I didn't before. It's not a thought. It's a quiet understanding that sits with me. I wake up and I notice the morning more. I sit down and I notice the silence. I don't try to fill it anymore. Sometimes my daughter calls. Sometimes my son visits. We sit together and we talk about small things, the weather, their work, the kind of things that don't lead anywhere. I don't push for more. I don't know if that's right or wrong. It's just what I can do now. I stay here because this is where my life still feels real. Even with the mistakes. Maybe because of them. There's a chair in the living room where my wife used to sit. I haven't moved it. I don't think I will. At night, the house gets very quiet, louder than it used to be. I sit there sometimes, just listening. Not for anything in particular, just listening. I'm 89 now. I didn't go. That's all I did.